So this is the beginning of a series of videos that we are putting together for some sort of intro to Excel tasks. So I am Professor Amanda Armini, Associate Professor of Accounting at Hiram College. And again, this is the first of a series of videos that we want our accounting students to review so that they will have kind of a basic knowledge and understanding of Excel, and so that we can use that program in our future classes. So the first thing I'm going to do obviously is to open up Excel. So I'm going to find the Excel icon you can see up in the top left of my screen. If you don't have the Excel app, you would go to the self-service app, which is downloaded here. It was in the top right of my screen, and it gives you all of the options for the apps that we can install on our iPads. And we can then use that, all of those apps for different purposes. So again, you want to go to self-service, which is the little sort of box icon that's in the top right of my iPad. But again, the Excel app is in the top left of mine. So I'm going to go ahead and tap on that and open it up. When you open it up, what's nice is that it already gives you a sort of a series of templates that you can use. What we're going to do for these sort of tutorial videos is just go through a blank Excel workbook, but you can see that there are calendars, there are schedules, there are budgets, there's all kinds of things that the app and just generally Excel provides as templates for us to use, for particular purposes. So you can work through those, and you probably will in future classes work through some of them, like budgets, things like that. So, but what we're going to do is just open up a blank workbook. So over in the top left screen where it says blank workbook, I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. And it basically just opens up a workbook. And so the first thing that I'm going to do actually, which you could do too if you're following along, is I'm going to save this. So this is going to be the Excel workbook that I use for these tutorial videos. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that icon, or tap on the icon that looks like sort of a piece of paper with the 3 dots in the top left, and I'm going to say save. And I want to save that to my Intro to Excel Modules folder. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to label this Excel module template and go ahead and save that. So that way I know this is the one that I'm always going to be going back to. So as we work through these videos, we're going to be going through the different menus, we're going to be entering data and doing some very simple formulas in that. So I'm always going to go back to this Excel module template workbook here. So I keep saying workbook. The reason I say workbook is because what Excel provides is the opportunity to gather a lot of data into one particular workbook, but separate it amongst different worksheets. So if you see in the bottom left of your screen, it says there's a little tab that says sheet 1, and then next to it is a plus sign. So if I wanted to use this Excel workbook to hold different sets of data or do different things, like maybe I want to have a time log for employees and how long they've worked, but I also want to show the budget that we have for our department, and I also want to track incidental expenses that the employees have had for travel. Those are 3 very different sets of data, but I want to include it all into one workbook. Excel allows me to do that. So if you click on that plus, or tap on that plus in the bottom, you see it opens up a brand new worksheet. So while all of these worksheets are separated, they are all saved into one Excel workbook, which again makes it nice that we can sort of use or include different data into one particular workbook. So I'm going to go back over to sheet 1 and basically just sort of go through a beginning view of these menus. So in the top of the screen you see there's the green menu bar that goes across, and then there's going to be different tabs. So the first home tab is essentially where there's a lot of formatting tools that you can use. So you can see from left to right, it allows us to select, if I tap on it, it allows us to select the font that we want to use, the size font that we want to use, The default is always Calibri 11 size font, but you can change it. Do we want to bold? Do we want to italicize? Do we want to underline? So again, I'm going left to right. It also gives us the option to add borders around different pieces of information within our Excel worksheet. It allows us to change the color. So say I want that first cell. So as I refer to this is called a cell. You can see that there's a column reference and a row reference. So right now I have tapped onto cell A1. If I tap over, you can see now I'm in cell C4. So say I want to make sure that cell C4 is highlighted properly, I can go ahead and highlight that with the use of this particular part of the menu. If I don't want any color at all, I scroll back down, no fill, and it goes back to where it was. So again, left to right, I can format the coloring. I can format the actual color of the text. So whatever I type in, whatever the data is I put in, if I want it to be red or green or some sort of formatting of the color of the text, I can do that. The next set of formatting tools allows me to center the data. It allows me to use a wrap text feature where it basically increases the size of the cell. It allows me to sort of format two cells as one. If I wanted to, next cell over, it gives me different themes that I can use for the data that I'm going to put in my cells. I tap over to the ABC 1, 2, 3. It allows me to decide, do I want the data to be in currency? Do I want to see a dollar sign next to the numbers? Or is it a fraction? Or is it a percentage? Or is it a date? So I can format the data set in that way using ABC 1, 2, 3. I can add, so if I click over to where you see the little green plus and the red X, do I want to delete any of the rows? Do I want to shift any of them around? And I'm going through this quickly because after we put in a data set into our Excel workbook, so what we're going to do is sort of type in a set of data. I'm going to use these different formatting tools once the data is already in there, but I just want to introduce them in this first video. So again, I can insert or delete different rows of data. I can format the cell height and width if I want to. I can use this little eraser icon to clear out all of the formatting that I've done if I want to sort of start from scratch. And then the last two pieces of formatting, or I guess items on this home menu are ones that we'll use quite frequently, again, once we get the data set in. So you see I'm going to tap on this little summation. So that's the Greek sign for summa. And it gives me a quick menu of basic arithmetic things that I can use, arithmetic formulas that I can use when I enter my data. So if I just want to add up all of the numbers, I can do that with the sum formula. If I want to figure out the average, I can use the average formula, and so on and so forth. So that is a quick tool that we, in the majority of the accounting classes and in very basic, even basic math classes, you will use quite frequently, that summation part of the menu. And then this last piece here is filtering. So if I have a data set and I want to filter it in alphabetical order, if I want to filter it by the largest number to the smallest number, so on and so forth. Again, that's another menu item that we'll use quite frequently. So again, I sort of went through that quickly, but it's because what we're going to do after we input the data set is we're going to actually sort of fool around with that information, fool around with that data. We're going to format it. We're going to do some basic arithmetic formulas. We're going to use these different parts of the home menu as we work our way through that data. What you will also find in these videos is that some of the things I'm going to skip. So like for instance, this over on the far right where it says sensitivity, that's not something that these basic videos are we're not going to use the more advanced features of Excel in these basic videos. We're going to really focus on the basics. So how do we input data? How can we format it? How can we do basic formulas? How can we make a Excel spreadsheet that we can, be confident that it shows the information that we want us to show. If we have to submit it to our boss, or maybe we have to submit it to someone who's working with us on a team, that they'll be able to understand what the data is and what it's trying to tell us. Very, very basic things is sort of what these videos are meant to be about.